AEW, first time meeting Tony Khan and the first time you heard about the concept of a promotion to go against Vince for the first time in quite a long time.
The first time that I met him was a match. I just went up for a pay-per-view, one of their first pay-per-views. And then I was asked to come and manage Sean Spears at another pay-per-view, and coming to work for them other than just doing a spot was not ever a discussion. And it was most of my conversations were not done with Tony, which is, so I really spent very little time talking to Tony.
When did you sign your first contract then with the company? How many months after your first appearance?
Maybe a year or so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that first pay-per-view was all by itself. And then the second one was having me come out with Sean against Cody Rhodes. And then they had Arn come out at the end of the match and belly to belly Sean on the ramp, and then that was done. And then I came back a few months later as Sean's manager, rather than just being a sidekick for one thing.
Now, I'd never be as impertinent as to ask you how much Tony paid you, but did Tony pay you well for the contract?
Excuse me. Yes. Not great, but I mean, it was well.
What's without giving away too many numbers or anything like that, what's great in your estimation?
Well, I mean, there's guys that are making 10, 15,000 a week, and I certainly wasn't in that category.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough then. I mean, yep. We will move on to a fan question, actually. So Deans asks, generally, what are your thoughts about managing Pinnacle/FTR in AEW? I enjoyed your limited screen time, but was underwhelmed, especially with the abrupt end to managing FTR. So apparently, how can we just cut off so abruptly then?
Yeah. And I wasn't there anymore.
Why?
Obviously, somebody didn't like what I was doing, or lack of what I was doing.
FTR as a team, you mentioned them before. Very, very good team. Obviously, teams these days and teams back in the day, they operate completely differently as how they put a match together. But FTR as a team and as people,
they are probably the best tag team right now. I would have a hard time saying best tag team of all time, since Arn and I are already in that position.
That's the spirit. What made them better than? What makes them the best today, in your opinion? What puts them on top?
They work very well together and do a lot of good stuff in the ring. And I didn't get asked a lot, and so it was very, very it was very hard for me to flow even outside the ring, because I'm more of a spontaneous type guy rather than okay, be here at this time, be here at this time, that kind of stuff. And I at my age, I don't remember all that stuff.
Especially with your last match as well, it was in the lockdown era as well, with no fans apart from like a few of the employees as well. So I mean, that can't have been the easiest thing. But I was thinking, you started in the mid-70s, and then your last match was in the lockdown era. So what a fantastic career that is. I shall give you some more questions. Reality or fiction? What's your opinion on Brian Cage? He was the top star in Impact, but once he went to AEW, seemed to flounder for a long time. Was it you who requested to be with Cage before you left?
No, they asked me to be there and do that. Mm-hmm. Brian has got great potential, but again, you've got to do the right stuff at the right time.
Weed that out for me slightly. So, where does Brian lack slightly in not doing things at the right time then?
This is probably not the setting to do that, but it is. He and I talked, and the advice that I gave him was, you need to be a killer. I said, you look like a killer. You need to be a killer.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Who would come to you for advice in the roster?
Nobody.
You're joking. Would any of the young guys go to any of the veterans for advice for any reason?
As far as I know, Arn or myself, nobody ever came to us.
Kidding. I find that impossible to believe. Or maybe I don't, but... So what is it with today's generation that they don't want to get advice?
Chris and I had this discussion yesterday, and it's about the same thing. Just oh well.
Well,
Shane Douglas and I had this discussion last night.
If no one's asking you for advice, but you're going to give advice to, let's say, Tony Khan himself, what would be the biggest advice you could give Tony now?
It's hard for me to do that because I don't watch the product. But the last time that I saw it, it needs to be a different product than your competition. Mm-hmm. You can't be the same product.
What are the advice to the wrestlers you would give? If apparently they don't want it, but let's say they do want it, what would be the one biggest piece of advice you could give them now?
I don't know that I would, I don't know that my mind and from the world that I came from in this business, I don't know if there's anything that I could offer, because I don't know how to do what they do. Because it is okay, I'm going to do this, and the fans have to cheer for it or boo it or be quiet. And then, but the match never changes. Whereas if I did something and the fans didn't react, I changed course right then. But I had that ability because my job was to make people scream.
So it was lack of spontaneity, if I can say that.
Yeah, I don't know that they really know how to do that anymore.
Next question is Desportiva has asked, being a tag team specialist, what do you think of the Young Bucks?
The Young Bucks are very talented, and they would probably rival FTR. And I think they've had a feud, or maybe. Again, I don't watch the product, so I don't.
Next one is, do you know why Cody Rhodes left AEW some 18 months
Not
ago?
clear. But he probably got a big raise, but I don't know.
I can't imagine he didn't get a big raise then. But no, apparently it's one big mystery why Cody will never talk about it publicly, and we all want to know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know why Arn left AEW recently?
No.
Next one is from a fan. Oh, God, my glasses. Epsilon Sama. Anyway, please ask how it was backstage in AEW, and please ask about CM Punk, The Elite, and any stories about the whole CM Punk load of fun backstage thing.
I wasn't there when that happened, and I usually sat in a trailer and watched it on the monitor. I didn't really get involved with the other talent. So,
did you ever speak to CM Punk? Because he strikes me one of the few people who would actually respect the veterans.
Yes, we chatted, but they have so many star dressing rooms and stuff that you don't ever get to see those guys unless they come out. And but CM was a very respectful, and he's a very talented guy, and
is that a problem these days with so many disparate dressing rooms? I mean, it's almost like people, because this is something I hear a lot, is that the business is missing these days the car trips from town to town, because that's where you really learn.
I don't know. I mean, the business boomed when we were flying on jets every day, and not car trips. It was the car trips were much harder.
By the way, and you were driving every time as well.
Oh, I hated driving with somebody else.
One more with AEW. I'm going to finish on one other question, not AEW related. Then I will thank you for your time. Who would be giving you instructions in AEW of what to do that night? So essentially, who was writing the creative, and who will be the sort of liaison as well?
I think most of the stuff that I did, I got instructions from one of the referees.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
what did?
Because that was,
I'm sorry.
I wasn't really figured in, so.
Just one quick follow-up. What does Kenny Omega do as an executive vice president, as well as the Young Bucks?
I guess they help Tony. I don't know.
No one seems to know. That's the weirdest thing. No one seems to quite know what they do.